Committee's study of the Central Intelligence Agency's Detention and Interrogation Program is a report compiled by the bipartisan United States Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, the SSCI, about the Central Intelligence Agency's Detention and Interrogation Program and its use of torture during interrogation in U.S. government bulletins on detainees in CIA custody. The more than 6,700-page report, including 38,000 footnotes, details the history of the CIA's detention and interrogation program and the committee's 20 findings and conclusions. On December 9, 2014, the SSCI released a 525-page portion that consisted of key findings and an executive summary of the full report. It took more than 5 years to complete. The full unredacted report remains classified. Today's summary: at least 17 CIA detainees subjected to the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques without CIA headquarters authorization. CIA cables from the spring of 2003 and afterwards describe multiple examples of interrogation practices at CIA detention sites that were inconsistent with the CIA's detention and interrogation guidelines. CIA officers at the detention site Cobalt, led principally by Chief of Interrogation Blank, also described a number of interrogation activities in cables that were not approved by CIA headquarters. CIA headquarters failed to respond, inquire, or investigate. Cables revealing that the CIA's chief of interrogations used water dousing against detainees, including with cold water and/or ice water baths, as an interrogation technique without prior approval from CIA headquarters. Cables and records indicating that CIA detainees who were undergoing or had undergone the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques were subjected to rectal rehydration without evidence of medical necessity, and that others were threatened with it. Cables noting that groups of 4 or more interrogators who required practical experience to acquire the CIA interrogation certification were allowed to apply the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques as a group against a single detainee, and cables revealing that the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques were used at CIA blank that were not designated as CIA detention sites. The first half of 2003, the CIA interrogated 4 detainees with medical complications in their lower extremities. 2 detainees had a broken foot, 1 detainee had a sprained ankle, and 1 detainee had a prosthetic leg. CIA interrogators shackled each of the detainees in the standing position for sleep deprivation for extended periods of time until medical personnel assessed that they could not maintain the position. 2 detainees that each had a broken foot were also subjected to walling, stress positions, and cramped confinement, despite the note in their interrogation plans that those specific enhanced interrogation techniques were not requested because of the medical condition of the detainees. CIA headquarters did not react to the site's use of the CIA enhanced interrogation techniques despite the lack of approval. Over the course of the CIA program, at least 39 detainees were subjected to 1 or more of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques. CIA records indicate that there were at least 17 CIA detainees who were subjected to 1 or more CIA enhanced interrogation techniques without CIA headquarters approval. This count includes detainees who were approved for the use of some techniques but were subjected to unapproved techniques, as well as detainees for whom interrogators had no approvals to use any of the techniques. This count also takes into account distinctions between techniques categorized as enhanced or standard by the CIA at the time they were applied. 17 detainees who were subjected to techniques without the approval of CIA headquarters were Rafiq Bashir al-Hami, Tawfiq Nasir Awad al-Behandi, Hekmat Nafi Shakwat, Lufti al-Arab al-Garaisi, Muhammad Ahmed Giolani Rabbani, Gul Rahman, Abid al-Rahim al-Nashiri, Ramzi bin al-Shib, Asadallah, Mustafa al-Hassawi, Abu Khalid, Laid bin Duman, Abd el-Karim, Abu Hazim, Saeed Ibrahim, Abu Yasir al-Jaziri, and Suleiman Abdallah. In every case except al-Nashiri, the unauthorized interrogation techniques were detailed in CIA cables, but CIA headquarters did not respond or take action against the CIA personnel applying the unauthorized interrogation techniques. This list does not include examples in which CIA interrogators were authorized to use the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques, but then implemented the techniques in a manner that diverged from the authorization. Examples include Abu Zubair and, as detailed, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, whose interrogators developed methods of applying the waterboard in a manner that differed from how the technique had previously been used and how it had been described to the Department of Justice. This count also excludes additional allegations of the unauthorized use of the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques. Over the course of the CIA's Detention and Interrogation Program, numerous detainees were subjected to the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques by untrained interrogators. As noted, the CIA did not conduct its first training course until November 2002, by which time at least 9 detainees had already been subjected to the techniques. The CIA's January 28, 2003 guidelines, which stated that the CIA's enhanced interrogation techniques may be employed, but only be approved by interrogators for use with specific detainees, raised the additional issue of approved techniques used by unapproved interrogators. January 28, 2003, DCI guidelines did not explicitly require CIA headquarters to approve who could use the CIA's standard interrogation techniques, including techniques that were not previously considered standard and that would later be reclassified as enhanced interrogation techniques. Rather, the DCI guidelines required only that all personnel directly engaged in the interrogation be appropriately screened, that they review the guidelines, and that they receive appropriate training in the implementation of the guidelines.
This report is landing with like a bomb here up on Capitol Hill. You've got on the floor right now Senator Dianne Feinstein-Erick. She's the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. She is the main driving force behind this report in the first place and its release today, which has proven to be so controversial in and of itself. Let me tell you, first of all, what the report says. And again, this was looking at specifically the CIA's interrogation techniques after 9/11, in that period right after 9/11, in which several people were questioned and detained by the CIA. And the report concludes, again, harsh techniques were not an effective means of gathering information. Interrogations were brutal and far worse than the CIA represented to government officials, and the CIA repeatedly provided inaccurate information on the program and impeded oversight of the program as well. This report is a harsh condemnation of the CIA and its actions at the time. Republicans, our minority report is being produced as well, defending the CIA's actions, and you've got a number of former CIA officials and Bush administration officials, including the president, George W. Bush, who are condemning this report, the details within it, and saying it may prove harmful to Americans abroad, and that's why security has been ratcheted up at diplomatic facilities around the world as well as military installations as well.